Hey, Happy New Year! Welcome to the first episode of my new video series that I am calling Crime Dip. And in this new video series, I just wanted to come and hang out with y'all and let you know about some true crime cases that I have stumbled across this week. This will include ongoing cases, some local cases that I have stumbled upon, breaking cases that have just happened, maybe some breaks and some other stories that have happened. And I hope you will go ahead and drop some true crime stories that you are currently looking into. Maybe there are ones that happened near you or ones that you've been actively following. As you may or may not know, my name is Crystal Sky, and I have another series that I call Crime Dive, where I do more thorough deep dive looks into true crime cases. But with this video series, I wanted to kind of shorten the format a little bit, and I wanted to focus more on maybe cases that are ongoing, maybe some cold cases that maybe there's some breaks in, or maybe just some cold cases that have kind of been forgotten about. And like I said earlier, maybe some local cases. I have a few local cases around me. I live in Los Angeles, so I have a couple of LA stories that I came across that I wanted to share with you. And I hope I can, post this every Thursday. That's definitely my goal, is to post 2 videos a week, my Crime Dive on Tuesday and this series on Thursday. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first case I'm going to be talking about with you is an ongoing case, all right? It's ongoing. The trial for this case is slated to begin in February of this year, so next month, February of 2023. And the story is out of Florida, and it is... Man, I say this all the time, right? All murder is senseless and just heartbreaking, but it is especially so when the victim is a child. And this case, it's even more disturbing because the perpetrator is also a child. Yeah, it's pretty intense. So let me go ahead and share with you the information that is out there so far. And we'll talk about it. So this is the case of Aiden Fucci, who is accused of murdering 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey. So 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey was a student at Patriot Oaks Academy located in St. John's, Florida. She was a cheerleader here, seemed to really enjoy cheerleading. One of her coaches, named Tanya White, described Tristyn as having a, quote, beautiful smile and presence. She was always the first to hug me. She was officially my favorite. Her parents were Stacy and Forrest Bailey. Now, the accused murderer in this case is 14-year-old Aiden Fucci, who also attended Patriot Oaks along with Tristyn. He also lived in the same neighborhood as her, in Durbin Crossing, which is a community located within St. John's. His parents are Crystal Lane Smith and Jason Fucci. So on Saturday, May 8th, 2021, the Bailey family arrived home about 1:45 after having a night out together. Tristyn was last seen by one of her siblings around midnight. She was supposed to be going to her bedroom to go to bed. The next morning, her and her siblings were going to wake up because it was Mother's Day and they were going to make a special breakfast for her mother. Unfortunately, Tristyn did not go to bed that night. Instead, she snuck out of her bedroom to go to a friend's house. Around 12:30 a.m., so technically we're now on Sunday, May 9th, 2021, Mother's Day, home surveillance footage captured Tristyn walking to a friend's house. She was walking down the road, and it was described this friend was also a friend of Aiden's, so a little unclear if maybe this was a mutual friend they had in common, not sure. I'm actually not even quite sure what relationship, slash friendship, if any, there was between Aiden and Tristyn. That friend would later say that Aiden had been over, had asked for Tristyn's number, and Aiden had actually been the one to talk to her on the phone and got her to sneak out of her bedroom. Surveillance footage from the Durbin Community Center then shows Tristyn walking with who is believed to be Aiden at approximately 1:14 a.m., and they were just walking together down the road. And another video that was captured from some home surveillance camera, I think maybe a Ring camera or something, captured Tristyn and who is believed to be Aiden walking down the road in front of the home. They were walking east together along Saddlestone Drive, and the timestamp on the footage is about 1:45 a.m. This same home surveillance camera then captured Aiden walking alone on this same road around 3:27 a.m., except for he was walking the opposite direction that he had come with Tristyn approximately an hour and a half earlier. Additionally, he is seen carrying white Nike shoes, wearing blue jeans, and a light-colored hoodie. 5 minutes later, other surveillance, home surveillance footage, showed Aiden entering his home. He went directly directly to a bedroom, then to a bathroom, and then came out wearing a bathrobe. Now, I was unclear if this was footage from like within the Fucci household, because there was like internal surveillance cameras in the Fucci household that was used and examined in this case. I was unclear if that's what this was or if this was like a neighbor's surveillance footage that captured all this. None of the reports really specified, just said that it was home surveillance footage. Now, later on in that morning, a sibling went to wake up Tristyn. Again, the siblings were going to make a nice Mother's Day breakfast for their mother, and the sibling discovered that Tristyn was not in her room. They also discovered that Tristyn's phone location was turned off, so they couldn't even track her phone. Stacy, Tristyn's mother, then immediately dialed 911 and reported her daughter missing. And it was approximately 10 a.m. on Mother's Day. Like, that just broke my heart. Oh my God, what a terrible, like, it's bad enough to have your child, like, taken from you, but for it to happen on Mother's Day, like, dude, that's beyond effed up. So the Bailey family started searching high and low for Tristyn, posting to social media, checking out local spots, and checking with her friends. You know, pretty much what you would do when you're trying to locate your missing child. And it was combing through local surveillance footage that police discovered that surveillance footage of Tristyn with who was believed to be Aiden walking down the road. And it was this footage that led them to the Fucci home and to question Aiden. Aiden told investigators that he and Tristyn left at the friend's home about 1 a.m. They walked together for some time, but they eventually parted ways because Tristyn turned around to go home. Aiden said he returned home between 3 and 3:30 a.m. and said that he had walked around alone after Tristyn had left him. Now, at some point, I'm not sure exactly when, but Aiden would change this story. He said he and Tristyn had actually walked along North Durban Parkway, and it is here that a fight ensued between them. Aiden said that the fight started because Tristyn had grabbed him or something, and then he told police in reaction to that, he like pushed her down and she hit the ground really hard. He said he didn't know if she had gotten back up because he immediately turned around and walked away. And he said he had smoked some marijuana earlier that evening, so he was feeling dizzy from that as well. And that was another reason that he just like kind of turned and like walked away. He didn't see if Tristyn had gotten up. Aiden also told police that it was possible Tristyn spent time with a drug dealer that evening. Aiden told police that Tristyn probably spent some time with him on this path that was by the amenity center, and I guess it was like known for local teen drug use. I guess that's kind of where they went to like get high and whatnot. But I guess authorities managed to track down this local drug dealer and discovered that this drug dealer had absolutely nothing to do with Tristyn or this case whatsoever, had never encountered her. I'm not sure if maybe that's when Aiden changed his story to that he pushed her. I'm not sure when he changed his story. Now, when they were questioning Aiden, police found a blue folding knife on him, but it was like clear of residue, all right? It wasn't like covered in blood or anything like that. And because it was clear or whatever, the deputy handed it to Jason, Aiden's father. Now, that same afternoon, after police had talked to Aiden and then, you know, probably went to go check his story and whatnot, an investigator with the case received a Snapchat that Aiden had sent. It was a selfie of Aiden and it showed him in the back of a police car, and he was holding up the peace sign, and the caption on the snap was, quote, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" And he misspelled anybody with an I. Now, apparently, Aiden's snap received multiple replies, one of which said, quote, "You were with her, Aiden. You know what happened to her." And I guess there were other snaps that Aiden had sent, some videos and stuff, and it showed him muttering things like, quote, "What's up, guys? Tristyn, if you fucking walking out the dam," and then he kind of like mumbles and you can't really understand what he's saying. And later, that same Mother's Day evening at 6:06 p.m., a resident who had been out for a jog unfortunately came across Tristyn's body in the woods and immediately called the authorities. Tristyn's body was found east of the cul-de-sac on Saddlestone Drive, and an autopsy would later reveal that 13-year-old Tristyn received 114 stab wounds. And she had stab wounds to her hands, arms, and head. And at least 49 of these wounds were defensive wounds. And the wounds were so deep, one of them still had a piece of the knife lodged in it. According to the sheriff's office, quote, "Based on the nature of the injuries, it appeared the suspect was standing behind Tristyn and came at a downward angle. Her time of death was estimated to be between 1:45 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. And before her body had been discovered earlier that that day, a diver with the police department had actually found a Buck brand folding knife, and it had a wood brass handle, and it just so happened to be found in a large pond that was east of the cul-de-sac off Saddlestone Drive. In fact, it was found about 140 feet away from Tristyn's body. The medical examiner would later confirm that it was consistent with the stab wounds on Tristyn. At around 8:49 p.m., police brought in Aiden along with his parents in for questioning. They were placed in a sheriff's office interview room where, of course, everything is recorded and monitored. Jason and Crystal both advised their son not to say anything, told him not to say he was involved with the case whatsoever, and informed him that the room was being recorded. They then asked their son what had happened. Now, according to reports that were released by the sheriff's office, quote, Crystal then advised Aiden the girl, referring to Tristyn, was found in their neighborhood, down the main street. Aiden asked, is she good? Crystal responded, no, she's dead. That's why this is very important. It's all on you right now. Aiden responded, how is it my problem? And that's when his parents told him, well, like, dude, you're the last one seen with her. They have footage. I was unclear if Aiden was aware that police had that surveillance footage up until that point. I'm not sure. His parents told him that it was very stupid to post all those snaps on Snapchat and that now they were receiving threats because of them. Crystal told her son that as they were sitting there, police were getting ready to search their home. And that's when Jason asked his son why he had been wet when he came home that early morning. The report said, quote, Aiden advised he was wet due to a water cup he spilled on himself. Jason pressed Aiden on how he was wet. Aiden stated he fell. The video also shows Crystal asking her son if he was sure there was nothing on his clothes when he came home that early morning. He responded with, quote, I don't think so, why? And according to warrants, Crystal, quote, could be observed giving Aiden a questioning look and whispered blood. Crystal explained to her son that the detectives were going to get the clothes that he was wearing. And according to the reports, quote, Jason asked, there will be nothing on those clothes, right? Aiden stated, no, sir. And that's when Crystal then asked her son, like, hey, were you wearing jeans or khakis? Quote, Aiden advised he wore blue jeans. Crystal asked again if Aiden was sure there was nothing on them. Aiden replied, I don't think so, why? She said, when we looked on the camera, you were wearing khakis. And shortly after that, she said, right? Aiden then indicated yes. Now to investigators, quote, this appeared to be Crystal attempting to convince Aiden he was wearing khaki pants instead of blue jeans, contrary to his previous response. And at one point, quote, Jason and Crystal both advised Aiden to find his story and stick to it. And then also while they were waiting, his parents attempted to communicate with him so investigators wouldn't know what they were saying. I guess Jason got out his phone and typed something and passed it to Aiden, who would type something, and that's how they communicated so that the, recording equipment wouldn't catch what they were saying. Quote, this appeared to be a means of communication between Jason and Aiden to subvert investigative efforts. And apparently authorities were able to obtain search warrants for both Crystal and Jason's phones. Not sure if anything what they found. I know if I was sitting in that room with my kid, I would have just opened a note and just typed stuff and then deleted it after. I wouldn't save it as a note. I don't know if they can track what you've actually typed on a note and it's not saved. Not sure. And at 12:44 a.m., May 10th, investigators searched the Fucci home. In Aiden's bedroom, they found, among other things, a Buck brand knife sheath, a pair of wet, white Nike shoes with what appeared to be blood on them, a t-shirt with blood on it, a white piece of paper with handwriting that had possible blood on it, a pair of wet blue denim jeans, marijuana paraphernalia, 8 pocket knives, a homemade shank, a hooded sweatshirt with possible blood on it, and towels that also had suspected blood on them. They also found a notebook in Aiden's bedroom, and according to police, it had, quote, violent drawings, and they, quote, depicted a satanic element to them, to include a pentagram. I really hate when they just call pentagrams evil, but whatever, that's besides the point. They found a drawing of a naked woman with, quote, red X's over her breast and genitals, as well as what appeared to be severed limbs, arms, that depicted blood coming from the wounds. And around 3:30 a.m. on May 10th, Aiden was arrested for Tristyn's murder. He was charged with second-degree murder and held at a juvenile justice center. And 2 days later, in his very first court appearance, when he was hearing the charges read against him, the video of him, he kind of seems stunned. Kind of seems surprised that this is happening. He runs his fingers through his hair and just kind of breathes deeply. It seems when you're just watching it, it seems it's sinking in that he's in serious trouble. During their investigation, authorities, of course, interviewed lots of Aiden's friends and classmates. They said he actually usually talked about killing someone. And to this day, it is unclear if Aiden targeted Tristyn specifically, or if this was kind of one of those, like, you know, opportune moment type of things. Investigators talked to someone who was identified as a close friend of Aiden. Other reports identify this person as Aiden's girlfriend. And she told police that Aiden frequently spoke about killing someone. And she said that about a month before Tristyn's murder, Aiden said that he was planning on going through with it, killing someone. Specifically, Aiden said that he planned to find someone who was walking alone, drag them into the woods, and stab them. He also told her that he planned to kill more people afterward. She told police that Aiden, quote, would take his knife out and pretend to stab her with it. She said he always carried a knife with him out of school, and in fact, he had several knives, and he named two of them Picker and Poker. She also said that, quote, Aiden would draw graphic pictures depicting mutilated bodies, and said that when he was angry, he would hear voices telling him to kill people, hear voices telling him how pathetic he was, what a disappointment he was. She said, quote, Aiden knew something was wrong with him and wanted to reach out for help. And another friend identified the knife that was found in that pond not far from Tristyn's body was the one that Aiden called Poker. And upon learning this information, police then contacted Jason, Aiden's father, and they were telling him to bring in that knife that they had given him. Remember when they questioned Aiden and they had found a knife on him, but it was like clear of residue, so they gave it to Aiden's father, Jason? Well, police now wanted that knife to look at it and examine it, but wouldn't you know it, Jason said he didn't have it anymore. He said when the deputy had given it to him, he had placed it like absent-mindedly on the bumper of his truck, so I don't know if maybe they were speaking with Aiden outside, and he had driven that truck many times since then, and it flew off the bumper. He didn't have it anymore. On Thursday, May 27th, 2021, the state attorney's office for St. Johns County filed a notice that they were going to move Aiden's case from juvenile court to adult court. They were going to charge him as an adult in the murder of Tristyn. And this was after a grand jury had indicted Aiden on first-degree murder charges. He was now held without bond, and now he faces a possible life sentence. He will not be eligible for the death penalty since he's a minor, but he is eligible for a life sentence. State Attorney R.J. Laritza said at a news conference, they really had no other choice but to charge Aiden as an adult. Quote, every time that arm went back and every time that arm went down was premeditation. Aiden was then transferred to an adult facility. He pleaded not guilty and seemed unemotional at his next court appearance, which was after that day. He just seemed kind of unemotional, just saying yes sir, no sir to the judge and answering questions. Now, as Aiden was sitting behind bars, his mother, Crystal Lane Smith, who was 35, was arrested herself, and she was arrested on Saturday, June 6th, and this was on a warrant charging her with tampering with evidence. She surrendered herself to St. Johns County Sheriff's detectives around 11:50 a.m., and in the warrant, it accuses Crystal of scrubbing a pair of Aiden's blue jeans. The warrant accuses her of taking his jeans in a bathroom sink and scrubbing them clean, and then going back into Aiden's bedroom and putting them where she had found them. And the warrant states that there's actually video of Crystal doing this. So again, I'm wondering if it's maybe some sort of internal home surveillance at the Fucci household. The warrant states that the footage shows at around 1 p.m., the day Tristyn was missing and everyone was out looking for her, Crystal got the jeans from Aiden's bedroom, went to the adjacent bathroom, scrubbed them clean in the sink, and then returned them to the laundry basket where she had found them. The warrant also stated that both the jeans and the sink were tested for presence of blood and dirt, and that both items tested positively. After about 90 minutes after turning herself in, she was released on a $25,000 bond. Laritza said, quote, tampering with evidence is tampering with justice and cannot be excused or tolerated. Now, tampering with evidence is a third-degree felony in the state of Florida. It's punishable by up to 5 years in prison and or a $50,000 fine. Crystal's case is currently ongoing as well. Her arraignment was originally scheduled for July 26th, but her attorney waived all of her pre-trial motions and appearances. And it looks like, based on the most updated information that I could find, that her next court date is scheduled for sometime in April of 2023. Now, in July of 2021, there were more documents that were released that shed a little bit more light into the details of the case. It's what I just shared with you. They came from investigative reports that were released by the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and previous reporting from, I think it's a local paper called The Record. And then I also got other information from other newspapers that were reporting on the story. Now, Aiden had a pre-trial hearing scheduled for September 1st, and this was going to be held via Zoom, virtually, but it was called off due to technical difficulties. And this was because Aiden was seen and heard on camera, like muttering, and he's looking around, and he's talking nonsensically. So he can be seen and heard on camera muttering things like, quote, "Why am I here? What's going on?" Something about demons. And quote, "Demons take my soul. You demons take my soul away. I know you demons killed my soul. What's going on? Why am I here? I just want to talk to my mom and dad." And just sort of just kind of spazzed out. And as soon as this was observed, they immediately cut the call and rescheduled. On Thursday, October 28th, he had his rescheduled hearing, and he was reported as being more alert here. He didn't seem nearly as incoherent. His public defender, Rosemarie Peoples, has not sought a mental competency exam for her client. At least not yet, anyway. In August of 2022, Judge Lee Smith granted Peoples' request for a trial delay. So she, and I think it's the same prosecutor in Aiden's case, were both dealing with a huge death penalty trial, and Peoples said that she needed more time to gather witnesses and work on Aiden's case. This other case that she was dealing with was just taking up too much of her time, and she wanted to give Aiden the best defense possible. He was originally slated to be tried in November of 2022, but now, I said this at the top of the video, it looks like Aiden's trial will begin sometime in February of 2023, assuming it is not delayed again. Judge Smith said, quote, "I wanted to just also make sure that everyone understands that there should not be any conflict anywhere in this circuit for any other trials. I have spoken to the chief judge. This case will have priority over any other trial in our circuit, other than obviously the one you're dealing with in Putnam County." And that was the big death penalty case that I just mentioned. Now, Tristyn's family released a statement after the judge's ruling saying, quote, "With this morning's decision on the continuance, we now set our eyes toward a February trial. While we're disappointed we have to continue to wait, our hearts go out to the loved ones of the Putnam County victims for their day in court. We take solace in this morning's proceedings for the clarity that all parties involved are making efforts to ensure everything is done correctly during trial. Aiden is currently being held in the Duval County Jail in Jacksonville, Florida, and this is because the St. Johns County Jail does not have a juvenile wing. In November of 2022, Peoples did file motions to get Aiden transferred elsewhere, citing that he was suffering unduly in solitary confinement. And the next month, so last month in December, she filed motions for a change of venue. And she was arguing that all the pretrial publicity that this case has generated, plus the outward public support of the Bailey family, was going to ensure that Aiden would not possibly be able to have a fair trial. And on the 1-year anniversary of her murder on May 9th, 2022, the Bailey family, who actually call themselves the Bailey Seven, hosted a vigil that was also attended by a lot of members of the community, Tristyn's family and classmates, coaches, teachers. They all wore aqua, which was her favorite color, and placed aqua-colored bows and ribbons everywhere. The family said more memorial projects are in the works to honor Tristyn's memory, and this will include a scholarship program, working with a youth mental health center, and working with a community gym that supports self-defense and teaches self-defense classes. And that is as much information as we have about this case. Like I said, Aiden is slated to go to trial as of the recording of this video next month, February of 2023. We'll see if there's any delays, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this one. It's so heartbreaking, and I feel like it's going to be one of those cases where it's just sad all the way around. I don't know what's going to be revealed about Aiden's past. It certainly sounds like he possibly has some mental health issues. We don't know anything at this point, and it's so sad. A 13-year-old murdered by a 14-year-old, her peer, her classmate. I don't know, man. It's super, super sad. And I'm going to share with you some breaking cases. There's not nearly as much information on these cases, so these will go super quick. These were just cases that I came across during Christmas, and they kind of caught my attention. I haven't been able to find any other updated information. As of the recording of this video, this is the most up-to-date information that I can find. And of course, if you're stumbling across this video and you're from the future, go ahead and drop any updates or links to stories. I'm going to try to keep track of some of these stories that have really caught my attention and see if there's any updates. So this next story comes out of Indiana. So on December 20th, 2022, at 5:51 p.m., Lawrence County Central Dispatch in Indiana received a request for police to do a welfare check. And the welfare check was for a man named Rodney E. Hayes. He lived in Mitchell, Indiana, and the caller wanted police to go and conduct a welfare check on Rodney, see if he was okay. Now, the caller who requested this welfare check said that they had just received a very disturbing phone call from Rodney's son, Sean E. Hayes, who lives with his father in Mitchell. So Sean had told this caller that his dad had turned into a robot, wasn't his dad anymore. And he had to shoot and mutilate this robot. And after hanging up with Sean, that's when this caller had called 911 and was like, yo, I don't know what's going on. Like, but can someone go check? So when deputies arrived, they saw a male attempting to leave the property in quite a hurry. He was in a silver Chevrolet truck. And of course, because of the nature and circumstances of why they were there, they of course pulled this truck over. It's just like, wait a minute, getting called to this welfare check and now this guy's peeling out? Like, no, we gotta pull him over. It was Sean who was driving. And when police approached, they saw that there was a shotgun lying on the seat next to him. And when they asked Sean if his father was okay, Sean told them that his father was not living there with him. It was a robot who looked like his father. And when they asked Sean where his father currently was, Sean told them that he was, quote, laying over there, and he gestured like behind him towards the house. Now, Sean seemed pretty tame and mellow up to this point, but when deputies asked him to step out of his vehicle, that's when his demeanor became more hostile. Deputies said that his body language was agitated, confused, and that Sean was, quote, verbally combative with the officers. He refused to exit his truck and told deputies, among other things, quote, it's a robot that looks like a human. Laying over there. I had to shoot at it to destroy it. They managed to get Sean out of the truck, placed him in handcuffs, and they then went to the home where they found Rodney Hayes laying dead in front of his home. He suffered from gunshot wounds to his chest and head, and they also found that Rodney's body had been partially mutilated and dismembered. And as of the recording of this video, his autopsy is currently pending. Now, when authorities say that they interviewed Sean, they said he admitted to shooting, mutilating, and partially dismembering the robot, who he said looked like his father, but really wasn't. A search warrant was granted to investigate the crime scene, and detectives with the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department processed the scene along with a crime scene technician from the Indiana State Police. And this investigation, like I said, is ongoing, and that is the most current up-to-date info that I could find about this case. And next, I want to share with you a case that is, somewhat local to me. I live in the Los Angeles area, and I came across this one, and oh my god, this one is just so heartbreaking, all right? So Trina Newman Townsend lived in South Los Angeles, was 62 years old, and was a retired minister, mother, grandmother, sister, and community activist. She was a mother to 10 foster children and had 2 biological children of her own, and was said to have been very active in her community. Like I said, she was a community activist, and it is actually doing this activist work and caring about others that would unfortunately lead to Trina's death. So on Christmas Eve, guys, Christmas Eve, just happened a couple weeks ago. On Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2022, Trina was in Los Angeles, specifically at 88th Street and South Broadway, and she was with 3 of her young foster children. There were different reports on what exactly she was doing, but she was delivering Christmas presents to some sort of shelter. People were describing it as a women's shelter, someone else said it was a homeless shelter, but regardless, she was delivering presents to underprivileged people and doing the community work, the community activist work she had been doing for a very long time. She was very active in her local community, guys. After she had delivered her gifts, all right, Trina walked back to her car. But when she went to step off the curb to walk around to the driver's side of her car, around 3:25 p.m., an unidentified driver in a blue mid-size sedan ran a red light traveling northbound on South Broadway and struck Trina going 40 miles an hour. 40 miles an hour, running a red light, struck a human being, didn't slow down or stop. Yeah, can you believe that? The a-hole didn't stop. Didn't even slow down. On top of running a red light, because yeah, this person's life is just so effing important, right? Like, dude, no, like, this story angers me. Other reports also state that the driver dented Trina's car on impact. Remember, Trina had 3 young foster children in her car when this happened. They were not injured, thankfully, but unfortunately, Trina was seriously injured and she actually died at the scene. Other reports state that Trina was actually just closing her trunk and walking around the car when she was struck. But regardless, yeah, she was walking back in her car, side of the road to get back in her car, as we all do, every day. And some a-hole blowing past a red light struck her. Dwayne Newman, Trina's sister, said of the foster children, because their ages were not reported, I know that they were just saying that they were young, but he said, quote, they don't understand the loss yet because they're so young. So I'm not sure if we're talking toddlers, infants, or what. Trina's daughter, Amory Nicasio, I don't know if it was Amory or Amory, Amarrie, but I saw 2 or 3 newscast footage with her, and they never once said her name even though they interviewed her, so I hope I'm saying that right. But anyway, Trina's daughter said, quote, "I still don't believe it. I want to get another phone call from her. It hurts really bad. The day before Christmas. Christmas will never be the same." Dwayne said, quote, "It's just a somber day to mourn my sister on Christmas." Yeah, can you believe this is how the Newman family celebrated their Christmas, guys? I can't believe it. On Monday, December 26th, investigators did return to the scene to collect evidence because there was pieces of the car left behind and stuff, and there was store surveillance footage, and there was surveillance footage that showed the accident. But dudes, this footage is so pathetic. You can barely even make out what happened, let alone a make, model, color of the car or whatever. So they have said that it was a mid-size blue sedan. I don't know if investigators have found maybe higher quality surveillance footage. I don't know, but the ones that were released to the news, the local news media, it was pretty bad. It was pretty grainy. A $50,000 reward has been offered for anyone who offers information that leads to an arrest. And anyone with information is asked to call the LAPD or Crime Stoppers. Dwayne has pleaded for the driver to come forward. Quote, "If you have any kind of compassion in your heart, if you have any kind of mercy, any sympathy, any humanity, please help us and just turn yourself in." Trina's family held a candlelight vigil/memorial at the accident site on Thursday, December 29th. The report said that it was a 2-day vigil that was Wednesday and Thursday. Dwayne said at the vigil, quote, "The community is here honoring my sister, somebody you didn't even know, somebody that was doing something in the community that you never knew until her death." One of Trina's daughters, Callie Harvey, said, quote, "Love is a verb. People forget that. She showed you that she loved you." Amory said her mother was benevolent and always helped those in need. Quote, "She helped everybody. She gave back to the community in every way she could. She's a good person. Whoever did this needs to step up and turn yourself in." Trina's niece, Brittany Newman, said, quote, "Somebody who means so much to the community didn't deserve to go out this way. We as a family deserve peace in our hearts. So we ask that you please surrender yourself." And as of the recording of this video, the driver of the mid-size blue sedan still remains unidentified. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That's already horrendous and gross to plow into someone at 40 miles an hour and not stop, but to do it on Christmas Eve. And there was children in that car, guys. And I saw, they showed a picture on one of the newscasts of Trina's car. There's a big fat dent in the driver's side passenger door. Can you imagine if those children had been hurt on top of that? Man, I don't know. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this one because I really hope that this piece of useless sack turns themselves in. And finally, I'm going to share with you one other story that happened in Los Angeles. And again, it's so heartbreaking. I came across this story and I was like, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about it. So I wanted to share it with you guys. So on Saturday, December 17th, 2022, 26-year-old Ronnie Newt was driving in her black Audi sedan. All right. It was going to be any other night. She was going to go hang out with her friends. She was driving on the 101 northbound freeway near the White Oak Avenue exit, and this is in Tarzana, California. Her father, Robert Newt, said that Ronnie had just gotten off work. Quote, "She went home, she got dressed, and she was driving to the valley to visit a couple of friends." Her mother, Francine Webster, said, quote, "She said that she would be back in a couple of hours because we were going to decorate our tree." Ronnie's mother describes her as having, quote, "a lot of personality. She knows what she wants. She's very direct. And she has a lot of life." Francine also said her daughter has a, quote, "big heart. She cares. She cares a lot." And she said her daughter can light up a room. But unfortunately, on this Saturday, in what was to have been a normal night out with friends, Ronnie was shot at multiple times in her car with a bullet hitting her head in what is called a car-to-car shooting. This caused her Audi car to crash, and California Highway Patrol officers responded to the scene around 5:15 p.m. They got multiple reports of the vehicle collision, so that's how they came across Ronnie. Some reports state that passersby actually saw Ronnie in the car, saw that she was injured, and called 911. But either way, CHP, California Highway Patrol, found Ronnie's Audi on the shoulder. It was struck by gunshots. They could see several bullet holes in the car. And they found Ronnie in the driver's seat, struck by, quote, "multiple gunshots, including the head." She was transported to a hospital in Northridge, where she has been in critical condition in a coma on life support ever since. Doctors told Ronnie's parents that she wouldn't even make it through the night, but so far, she's alive. Her father said, quote, she's a fighter. He said, quote, it's beyond me that something could be said that could actually make you pull out a gun and shoot somebody. At first, her parents thought that maybe she had just been in a car accident, but I guess it's when they got to the hospital, they were informed that, like, she was suffering from gunshot wounds. Her parents have been by her side every day at the hospital since she's been there. Francine said, quote, there are a lot of people that love her, that are supporting her, that want to see whoever did this to her apprehended. And in an article dated December 22nd, it stated Ronnie had shown signs of brain activity, giving the family some hope that maybe she might pull through. But the most recent article I could find about the story was dated Christmas Day, and it reported that she was still in a coma, still on life support, still fighting for her life. And unfortunately, the leads have been next to zero on this case. Police do suspect it is a road rage incident, and I guess CHP is seeking any dash cam footage from anyone who was in that area at that time. So they're specifically looking for dash cam footage, surveillance footage, any footage taken between 4:45 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. on December 17th, 2022, northbound and southbound along the US 101 freeway from the I-405 freeway to the Tampa Avenue exit in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles. Robert, Ronnie's father, has said, quote, if you saw anything that was strange, anything out of the ordinary, if you saw the color of the car, if you saw the make of the car, no clue is too small. Francine said she can't think of anyone who'd want to hurt her daughter like this, like she didn't have enemies or anything like that. Quote, especially in this way. We don't really know anything. She is fighting for her life. Gun violence is something we are all dealing with. It could be anyone at any time. Even if you think it's something very small, please call in and share information so we can get justice for my child. And again, as of the recording of this video, there have been no updates in this case. And can you believe that? Can you believe having so little respect or care for human life that you just take out your gun and just start, shooting at someone? I don't care if someone cut you off. Like, I really don't care what someone does on the freeway to piss you off. Nothing ever, of course, excuses pulling out a freaking gun and shooting someone, right? I don't know, that was so heartbreaking. Like, can you imagine? Like, I feel so sorry for the Newt family and the Newman family. Like, that's how they had to spend their holidays. And it just really broke my heart. I'm really going to keep an eye on these cases and see if there's any updates. Hopefully there will be, and I can share those updates with you guys. And yeah, I think that will do it for the first episode of what I'll be calling Crime Dip. These were just some stories that were breaking. The Fucci case is an ongoing case that just really got me interested. I just couldn't believe that, this 13-year-old girl was 13, dude. Like, that's a baby. She was a baby. And to be murdered by a 14-year-old, like this kid, 14 years old, and he's already murdered someone. Like, I can't believe it. Man, yeah, like I said, the Trina Newman and the Ronnie Newt ones really stuck with me. Like, that's heartbreaking. And again, like, I live in the Los Angeles area, so any story that involves Los Angeles, it's local, so it hits differently. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Please let me know what are some cases going down around your neck of the woods. What are some cases that you are following right now? Let me know. And again, if you're here from the future and there are any updates to these cases, drop those links down below. I would love to do episodes where I do like an update on some of these cases. And yeah, hopefully it'll be good endings, as good as you can when, murder's involved. Alrighty, y'all. Well, I will be back next Thursday with another list of cases for you. If you are looking more for longer format deep dive videos, I do my crime dive videos every Tuesday. And until next Thursday, I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay happy and healthy out there. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.